We come to you a minute earlier than usual. We're proud to announce that in just a few moments' time, we'll be launching our Spanish language channel. France 24 has broadcast in French, English and Arabic for just over 10 years, providing a French perspective on world events in 3 major world languages. And now, with our Spanish language channel, our news coverage will be accessible to an extra 400 million people worldwide. Based in Bogota, Colombia, the latest member of the France 24 family will go live in just a few seconds at 6 a.m. local time. Beside me, as you can see there, is the countdown marking the seconds until France 24 Spanish goes live. My colleague Angela Gomez will be live in just moments. Let's watch.
Buenos días, hoy es un día muy especial. En este momento se enciende la señal de France 24 en español. Estamos conectados con nuestras cadenas hermanas en francés, inglés y árabe en París para esta transmisión que llega a 350 millones de hogares en todo el mundo. Acompáñennos en la primera jornada de una gran aventura informativa internacional. Estas son las noticias. A partir de hoy, la cadena France 24 llega a América Latina con 6 horas...
The launch of our Spanish language channel is an exciting step for all of us here at France 24, a channel founded almost 11 years ago. So what just can viewers expect from our latest offering? Erin Ogunke takes a look.
It's the same channel you've put your trust in since 2006. But in a language France 24 viewers are not used to hearing. A few thousand kilometers away from Paris, dozens of our journalists will now cover international news in Spanish.
To develop in Latin America, it's vital to speak the most important languages on the continent, at least Spanish. It's a language that's essential in the digital world, and all of the major international channels have a Spanish version. As French people, we have the same Latin roots, and such important relationships with Latin American countries. So a Spanish France 24 channel was long overdue.
Brand new offices for a brand new team that has been in the works for many months. From today on, some 7 million households across 12 countries in Latin America can finally discover France 24. The language and the offices will be different, but the Spanish channel will share the same editorial line as the French, English, and Arabic channels, a French perspective on international news.
The programming of the Spanish channel will be exactly the same as the others. News every half hour and an update on major stories a quarter past and a quarter before every hour. There will be news on culture, the environment, history, and sports, and there will be all of the same documentaries and special reports. We'll have a very strong interaction between the 3 existing France 24 channels and the Spanish channel.
France 24 continues to expand. In addition to our team in Bogota, the new channel will rely on correspondents and reporters already present in Latin America and all over the world to cover the continent's latest news. On the digital side, this new adventure started just a few days ago. The Spanish version of the France 24 website will keep you informed 24 hours a day.
Well, joining me live on set now is Gaspar Estrada, who is a member of our Spanish channel's advisory board. He's also part of the channel's sponsorship committee. Basically, he's been there from the very beginning. So let's start with the basics. Why was the Spanish channel created? What need is France 24 Spanish channel fulfilling?
Well, I think that Latin America, contrary to other regions, where France 24, more globally France Media Monde, is located and has influence such as the Middle East or Africa. In Latin America, you have a strong media landscape, basically divided in 2 parties. The first party, and the most dominant, it's related to all the private-owned media channel and news groups that are very strong, and they're based in Latin America, such as Televisa, Globo, in Brazil. But you have always tensions, and which are depicted in the discourse and the message of these news outlets. On the other side, you have also state-owned news media outlets, but which have normally some bias, and they are directed by the government's voice and influence. So there is a space for a public news service, news outlet, but which has independence from the governments, from the private sector, and which wants to depict Latin America as it is, with an objective and really independent point of view, with a very professional newsroom. And I think that France 24 in Spanish will fulfill this space.
Now, not all of our viewers know this, but our French, English and Arabic channels are all based here in Paris. The Spanish channel will be based in Bogota, Colombia. Is that likely to change the way that the channel operates?
Well, yes, in the way that you have a different newsroom. Here you have the three languages that are working together. But I also think it's also a matter of fact in the way that you have a jet lag between Latin America and Paris. So having a newsroom based in Bogota allows France 24 in Spanish to deliver these messages directly from Latin America, which a newsroom based in Latin America with information from Latin America, which is going to enhance or improve the information delivered by France 24 to its viewers. So I think this is a very good part of the good element, and it's part of the strategy of this new channel.
And how do you expect to be received in both Latin America and the wider world?
Well, I think there is an expectation, and there is this lack of truthful information from a public media outlet, and I think that the editorial approach of France 24 will be well received by the Latin American viewer, especially because you have also a sister company called Radio France Internationale, who has a strong audience in Latin America, and the fact that this new channel, France 24 in Spanish, will be also be part of other programs made by the newsroom of Radio France Internationale based in Paris, will give a good element and a good complement to the information made in Bogota.
And what, if you had to say, do you think are the biggest challenges that lie ahead for the channel?
Well, now it's to broaden the audience and especially diversify the distribution of this news channel, and especially being recognized as every media outlet. The power of a brand is extremely important. Radio France Internationale is very well known in Latin America, but now the objective is to bring that credibility from RFI to France 24 in Latin America.
Very exciting times for all of us. Gaspar Estrada, member of France 24's Spanish's advisory board, I should say. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now we will bring you more from Bogota, from the director of the channel, Alvaro Sierra, in a few minutes. Moving on now to some other world news stories we're covering for you today here on France 24. There were scenes of jubilation across Iraqi Kurdistan following a referendum on independence, one that looks set to deliver a comfortable yes. But the government in Baghdad has already dismissed the results of what it calls an unconstitutional vote, saying it's not prepared to hold talks with the Turkish regional government. And there are also fears among the international community that the vote could further destabilise an already fragile country. Well, for more of an idea of what may come next, we can cross live now to Erbil, the capital of Iraqi Kurdistan, to speak with our correspondent there, Simona Fortin. Hi, thank you very much for speaking to us. You were at the polling stations yesterday. The yes vote may be set to win, but it's not quite as simple as that, is it?
all the people we spoke to who exited the voting station said that they voted for an independent Kurdish state. It is expected that the overwhelming majority of those who turned out did cast their vote in favor of secession, but there are a lot of people who don't really share the same dream of independence with the Kurds, especially the minorities. There are Arab and Turkmen and Christian minorities in Kurdistan who fear that maybe their rights could not be respected in Kurdish state. I spoke to one man in particular who is from the Christian Assyrian community here in Erbil. He said that he already feels right now that he is a second-class citizen. He, in fact, has to have a residency to even live in Kurdistan, and he fears that his rights could be further curtailed should Kurdistan become an independent nation. Now, he did not go and vote. He had concerns over whether the ballot was, in fact, secret, whether his opinion would be respected or whether there would be consequences. So there are very much fears among the minorities about the future of Kurdistan, what exactly their place would be in an independent Kurdish state.
And now the government in Baghdad says it doesn't recognise this vote. How are Kurds hoping to proceed without Baghdad's cooperation?
What President Massoud Barzani said that the referendum will be a first step in negotiating independence with Baghdad, that they will speak about their future as two separate countries. Of course, Baghdad has rejected that. They have asked the Kurds repeatedly to delay or even cancel this referendum. So it's difficult to see how these negotiations will go ahead, because right now there is no willingness on the side of the federal government in Baghdad to enter into a dialogue. The international community, of course, is also very much opposed to this referendum, so they could play a part in mediating, but they are very much on the side of the Iraqi government here. Now, it will be very difficult for Kurdistan to declare independence without international support. So without that dialogue, without support from the international community, its neighbors, and from Baghdad, it's very difficult to see at the moment how an independent Kurdish state would actually come into being, assuming that the vote will be a yes.
Now, Iraq's neighbours Iran and Turkey also rejected the Kurdish independence vote. They fear the move could embolden their own Kurdish populations. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has today said that all options, from economic to air and land military measures, were on the table in response to the Iraqi Kurdish independence referendum held in northern Iraq on Monday. Well, for more on Erdogan's latest pronouncement, we can cross live now to our Ankara correspondent, Gaspar Estrada. Gaspar, very strong words there from the Turkish leader. Just what is at stake for him here?
Lots is at stake. You know, as you said, he does fear that Kurdish Iraq's independence would embolden Turkish Kurds, making Turkish Kurds turn to Ankara and say, look what the Iraqi Kurds have got, you better give us something equivalent or we'll go the same way. Today, Erdogan accused the Iraqi Kurdish leader, Barzani, of treachery. But Erdogan accuses lots of people of treachery, including Turkish women who use birth control. So you can put that down as Erdogan talk. He also said Kurdish Iraq will starve if Turkey closes its land borders with northern Iraq. Now, it is true, Kurdish Iraq buys well over $1 billion worth of food, consumer goods, construction materials, everything from Turkey. And Turkey could really hurt Kurdish Iraq were it to cut off that trade. However, such a move would also hurt Turkish manufacturers. And Turkey is just recovering from a near recession. So I don't think Erdogan will impose sanctions on food and goods. His third remark today, he's threatened to cut the oil pipeline and the oil trade, which goes by tanker trucks across the Iraqi-Turkish border. Now, the oil trade is the Kurdish Iraq's principal source of revenue. They pump or send by truck $7.7 billion worth of crude oil through Turkey every year. Now, I think it is likely that if he's going to apply sanctions, Erdogan will apply sanctions on the oil. How far he will go, whether he will close the pipeline completely or partially, we don't know. This is yet to be seen.
Gaspar, thank you very much. Gaspar Mortimer reporting there from Ankara. Now, France 24 has officially launched its Spanish language channel. They're operating out of Bogota, Colombia, and they've been broadcasting live for 14 minutes now. The creation of our latest channel, in addition to our French, English and Arabic channels, means that our coverage is now accessible to an extra 400 million Spanish-speaking people across the world. And we can cross live now to France 24's studio in Bogota to speak with the channel's director, Alvaro Sierra. What will France 24 in Spanish offer the Spanish-speaking media landscape?
Well, hello from Bogota. Buenos dias from Bogota. We are just on the very last minute of our very first news program here in Bogota. We launched the Spanish channel, the French Spanish channel, France 24 in Spanish, just to offer to the Latin American public and to the general Spanish-speaking people around the world a wealth of information that is delivered in the French 24 way. We will include in our programming, of course, a lot of information about Latin America, information that we will provide for our viewers and for people navigating the internet and looking at our webpage in Latin America and in the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. But at the same time, we will provide information for our sister chains in English, in French, or in Spanish. As well as the wide range of programming and magazines which are characteristic of France 24.
Alvaro Sierra, director of France 24 in Spanish, thank you very much indeed.